So I recently did that video about what math looks like on a high school transcript for college admissions and why they value that class. And again, a lot of what came up was this thought process of AP versus dual enrollment and all the things. So I wanted to share my thought process on choosing AP versus dual enrollment. And again, you're always going to have outliers, right? You're always going to have the kid who didn't do anything and got into all the colleges that they wanted to, and they never had to work that hard. And you have the kid who is taking all the AP all the time, and that works for them. So I'm not trying to talk about those particular outliers. But when I would advise parents on what to choose, AP versus dual enrollment, or I'd advise kids, I ask them this question: do you love that subject? Both my older girls were heavy math and science. They enjoyed math and science. So they took AP classes that were math and science specific because they loved that subject. And a lot of the time, the teachers teaching an AP course also love that subject. So it makes it a really interesting year because you're being taught by someone who genuinely loves the subject and you love the subject, and it's worth it. It doesn't always guarantee passing. In fact, there's only a couple AP classes that my own kids even passed, but they took it because they loved the subject and they loved the teacher, and it was a great mix. Now, for those classes that they didn't truly enjoy, they never really enjoyed like a language arts. They never really enjoyed social studies. So for those classes that they wanted to take in high school and they for sure wanted credit for them, they took them as dual enrollment classes. And taking them as dual enrollment classes guaranteed college credit for them. And I know there's this whole thing that depends on the school you go to, whether or not they consider the community college credits and all that stuff. So this is not about that. But the only thing I would advise is if your kid is not ready for what it takes to take a college class, which is usually a lot less lenient in grading, there's usually just a few tests. It's a different experience than taking a high school class. If they are not ready for that, I don't advise them taking dual enrollment because whatever grade they get sits on their college transcript. And at least in an AP class, it sits on their high school transcript and eventually goes away when they start college. So it's always finding that right balance. But all in all, I recommend AP for subjects that they truly love. And I recommend dual enrollment for those classes that they just really want to get done in high school and get college credit for. What other questions do you have about picking AP versus dual enrollment? I'd love to help.